Hi, I'm Logan, one of the managers of MCAT content and curriculum here at Kaplan. In this video, Nick Nguyen, one of our expert Kaplan MCAT instructors, will take you through how he breaks down some of the toughest discrete questions from the Psych-Soc section of Kaplan's free MCAT practice test. This test was written by Kaplan's question writers and validated by Kaplan's psychometricians to be as representative of the real thing as possible, so you know you're getting exactly what you'll see when you walk in on test day. Follow along to see how Nick breaks down these questions using Kaplan's question strategy.
The Psych-Soc section on the MCAT tends to lean heavily on knowing vocabulary, and this question is no different. The question stem here is asking me to apply what I know about the term age dependency. Specifically, this is asking in the context of this term what a ratio over 1 means. Well, a ratio greater than 1 either means a large numerator or a small denominator. And from my content knowledge, I know that the age dependency ratio is the ratio of dependents or non-working people, aka people younger than 15 or 65 and older, to the working age population. So an age dependency ratio greater than 1 means either the not working population is large or the working population is small. Looking at the answer choices, answer choice D matches this prediction. A larger ratio means more non-working people to working people, which would increase the burden on the population who work. Quickly looking at C, this is a tricky answer choice. While an increased age dependency ratio could suggest a larger youth ratio, it's not an absolute. The age dependency ratio could be increased with a high youth population, aka those under 15, or a high older population, aka those 65 and up. But if the population of 65 and up is high, the age dependency ratio could also be high, while the youth ratio would be lower. Remember, the question stem asked you what would absolutely happen, not something that could happen. This question gets right to the point. The question is short, and the answer choices, which mention parts of the brain, are also short. Just a glance at them tells me I'm going to be asked about the function of the different parts of the brain, and indeed, the question wants me to identify which answer choice is responsible for voluntary movement. I don't really need to rephrase the question given how straightforward it is, so let's just dive in. I could come up with, off the top of my head, what parts of the brain are responsible for voluntary movement, but elimination to me sounds like it'll be quicker since I'm already given parts of the brain and can just recall its function using my content knowledge, eliminating anything not associated with voluntary movement. Looking at A, the cerebrum looks like a good choice already. It contains the different lobes of the brain, including the frontal, which houses the motor cortex, a center for voluntary movement. But doing a quick check, B is out. The cerebellum is important for posture and balance, less so voluntary movement. Think ballerinas and Bella. And C and D are part of the midbrain and are associated with more primitive functions than voluntary motion, such as awareness, breathing, heart rate, and blood pressure. Chuck those out the window. So this confirms that A is indeed the correct answer. I know the Psych-Soc section likes testing concepts, and this question gives us two to work out: altruism and inclusive fitness. Specifically, it's asking me how the two concepts are related. Going back to my content knowledge, I know altruism is when an individual does something to benefit another at a cost to the individual. One of the most generic examples of this is a monkey screaming to the rest of its friends when a predator is nearby. Sure, it could have just ran and hid by itself and let some other poor soul get eaten, but being the selfless altruist it was, it decided to warn everyone to increase the fitness of the population, even though it puts itself at risk to get eaten itself. Inclusive fitness is a method of measurement for evolutionary success, taking into account how much an individual's genes are propagated. This is just a fancy way of saying that an organism will help and protect not only themselves and their direct offspring, but also those of their relatives. This would increase the chance that those relatives pass genes partially shared with the individual onto their offspring, increasing the individual's own genetic success by propagating those genes they had in common. Let's go back to our example of the monkeys. The monkey could be selfish and just try to save its own children and maybe even its parents and brothers and sisters, but that would result in only the genes from their direct family getting passed on if they continue to survive. If the population of monkeys experience inclusive fitness, the monkey that's sounding the alarm would want to tell every single monkey in the group, not just the ones they're directly related to. Everyone that lives can continue to pass on their genes, keeping the traits from all the different monkeys in the pool. Turning to the answer choices, the only choice that matches my knowledge of these two concepts is B. A is definitely the opposite. C is switched in that inclusive theory is the biological explanation, not altruism. And finally, D is a distortion. It's not necessarily true that altruistic beings are the most likely type to be involved in inclusive fitness behaviors, even if altruism is a part of the inclusive fitness theory.